Check one, check one, check one, check one. Am I on? Am I talking? Somebody tell me I'm saying something. Hello? Hello, computer? Sound great. Thank you. Alan, man, I'm telling you, you're just going to make like $1 billion helping me out with that one little thing. Hi, everybody. This is Mike Meyers with the Wednesday edition of the Mike Meyers COVID virus live stream Ask Mike Anything. The goal of this live stream is to provide those of us who are isolated by the coronavirus an opportunity to continue our CompTIA studies. We concentrate on A+, Net+, and Security+, but we can certainly go outside of that on an as-needed basis. We also love talking just generic technical topics, so always fun to bring those in as well. I've got Dave Rush and Scott Jernigan who are helping me out as always and are always there to answer your questions when I can't. So feel free to hit them online. So anyway, here's how all this works. So it's 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, and we are going to run till 4 o'clock or until the questions run out, whichever comes first. So because this is an Ask Mike Anything, the goal of this is that you have to ask me questions and then I answer them. So you answer questions primarily by just typing them here into the chat window here in the YouTube live stream chat. And I'll be looking for questions. Scott Jernigan will be, Dave Rush. Sometimes I miss them, guys. And if I miss them, you just type them again. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. Also, do keep in mind that some of you guys have more personal topics or more complicated topics or topics that you would like to not necessarily you feel would fit into the live stream. If that being the case, send me an email. So you can send me an email at michaelm@totalsem.com. Just send me an email, describe your question there, and I can answer it. Surprisingly, I have had very few questions via email as of late, but whatever. Also, if you're a gamer, I am Senor Pepe, although I am not gaming at all these days. And then last is going to be my nom de plume is Desweds, so you can get a hold of me that way. So feel free to give me a contact, and then I will be more than glad to answer your questions. People always ask about Desweds. Just type it with one finger on a keyboard. You'll see where Desweds came from. Okay, so what are some of the rules? Rule number 1 today, I think I took way too much cough medicine. I don't have a cough. I got runny schnozzle. I think it's cats. I think I'm allergic to cats. Anyway, I've ended up taking exactly 4 times the recommended amount. It was 1 pill 4 times a day, and I've taken 4 pills in 1 shot. So if in about 30 minutes or so I suddenly pass out, don't worry, Scott Jernigan will jump on and we can pick up from there. But, you know, read the label when it comes to doing over-the-counter drugs, kids. What else do we have going? I have really opened up a can of worms with last week's discussion about what type of certificates, IT security certificates are out there, and what type of jobs do they apply into. And wow, is this a big topic, to say the least, guys. I'm probably going to take another 2, if not 3 weeks to develop this from your guys' questions, and I apologize it's taking so long. It just ended up being a big topic. And I'll probably go ahead and write some articles on it because I think there's going to be some demand for what started out as just a little question here in the live stream. So interesting that it works out that way. But for those of you who are waiting to hear on me expound on, you know, what is the perfect IT security certification path, what are some of the downfalls, what are some of the job analysis, I'm still working on that, and will be for a while. So sorry about that, guys, but it is a big and interesting topic. A lot of people have their toes in this, and I think it'll be worth the wait. I think you'll be pretty excited, to say the least. So I do have an interesting question that came up. It came up, I believe, on Monday when someone was asking about the difference between cores and pipelines. And the real answer is that you have to go back to, we used to have single core CPUs, and each one of these cores had a certain number of pipelines in them. 2 pipelines for the early Pentiums, 4 up to 8 pipelines on some Athlons, but you had these individual pipelines. So when Intel came up with the idea of the multi-core processor, or what was originally known as the Core 2, or the Intel Core processor, what you had, there were some early ones really had, it was different fabrications, but basically you had you had 2 CPUs on the same die as what used to be on a single CPU. And inside each one of these cores, there were multiple pipelines. What's happened over time, folks, is that we don't talk about cores anymore as what they really are. And it still is this way today on the latest Intel i9 processor, is that you have X number of physical cores in there, and within each core is X number of pipelines. But that terminology has been faded. This happens in the IT industry all the time. So we don't talk about the physical CPUs anymore. We don't sit there and say we have 4 CPUs inside this one CPU. We just talk about the total number of pipelines. So it may be 2 cores with 4 pipelines each, but we'll just sit there and say it has 8 cores. Well, Mike, are you telling me that there are no longer 2 cores in there? There are 2 cores or 4 cores. It's just that Intel and AMD magically decided to stop talking about this. What drives me crazy as an old tech is I'll start talking about something, and then one day this new tech comes in and goes, oh no, it doesn't say it like that. My problem is, folks, is I don't bother writing down and documenting every source of everything I get, so that 10 years or 15 years later, when the industry suddenly and arbitrarily decides to make changes in terminology, I am not there to say, well, see, that is how we used to talk about it, and I get a bunch of young people looking at me like I'm a freaking idiot. Cores and pipelines are now the same thing. It's unfortunate that the industry decided to stop talking about individual cores as being, the CPU microarchitecture core with its pipelines and its caching and all that, and instead to simply ignore it and now turn the old pipelines, each one of those, into their own core. I don't write this stuff, folks. And the nice part about looking at it in that way, you're not going to get anything wrong on a CompTIA exam. Jane Slayer, tell us how you really feel. Jane, this is why I'm here. This is old home week. If I want to be Mr. Nice Tech all the time, I can do that in 100 different venues and get paid for it too, by the way. I do this because it's good for my soul. I know what it's like to be isolated by coronavirus. A lot of you guys have started to turn into friends of mine, and as a result of that, I talk a little bit more comfortably here than you're going to see anyplace else. So that, Jane Slayer, is why I feel how I really feel. Zach Morrill, when you were talking about pipelines, are you talking about threads? If not, what's the difference? Threads are programming. Threads come from code. Pipelines are a physical hardware thing. You put threads into pipelines to process stuff. Got it? Threads are software. Pipelines are hardware. When you write a program like Microsoft Word or Cyberpunk 2077, you have executable files. When those files are run, all that means is that they're taken from the storage and they're put into RAM. Now you have processes in your RAM, Zach. In order to actually get anything done, processes spawn threads. Based on the way compilers create executable codes, CPUs can call chunks of functional executable code called threads, which are run through individual pipelines. Back in the old days, and I'm talking this, pipelines aren't new, folks. They've been around since the early 90s, late 80s. You would have one thread per pipeline. That's no longer true. Because of something called hyperthreading, which came out with something called a Pentium 4 a long time ago, you can have up to 2 threads run through the single pipeline at a time. And because we don't use the word pipeline anymore, because now the industry likes to use the word core, and if you go into resource manager or something, that's what you're going to see, task manager. So you'll see 16 cores, or what do I even have on here? I really hate the new task manager. Makes me sad. I know it's not that new anymore, but for me it's new. All right, let's see if I can get this up on the screen for you guys. All right, so over here is my, this is Resource Monitor running on my machine. And you see I've got it clicked on CPUs right now. Now if I scroll through this thing, see where it says CPU 0, CPU 1, CPU 2. Oh, come on, it's got to go a lot further than that. CPU 4. So this has 7 CPUs in it. It doesn't have 7 CPUs. It's a multi-core processor. I was not able to look it up quickly for this course, but I'm pretty sure that this particular system has 2 cores built into it. Each core runs 4 pipelines in it, and that's why we get 8 CPU values in there. Now you'll sit there and go, Mike, well, I don't see 2 cores. I only see, let's do it again. I only see CPU 7, CPU 6, CPU 5, CPU 4, CPU 3, CPU 2, CPU 1, and CPU 0. Where are the cores, Mike? One more time. The industry doesn't say it anymore. They magically and arbitrarily and without consulting me decided to stop talking about cores probably 10 years ago. It's one of these things I've known, but I actually ran into questions on it, so I want to make sure I'm crystal clear on that. So this particular CPU has 8 cores. They're really pipelines, but whatever. We're not going to get into a big argument over that. And this particular machine does not have hyperthreading. If I had hyperthreading, it would magically look like 16 CPUs. So there we go. All right. Task managers do make me sad. Axe, what's happening today? Mike is fired up. Covering some bases. We're going to be talking about subnetting again, which is fine. So, yeah, mainly subnetting, then answering whatever questions you might need. All right, let's scroll through and take a look at some questions that we might have. All right, first of all, just so you guys know, just because you are kind enough to show up today, you get, there it is, 25% off ebooks. I know we've been doing practice questions for a long time, but now we're doing ebooks. So this week, it's 25% off A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus Passport ebooks. The code is JAN, JANSEM 125 at checkout. So all you got to do is go to www.totalsem.com. Don't panic. Scott Jernigan's going to put all this into the chat window so you can read it. Go over to www.totalsem.com. Pick up either A+, Net Plus, or Security Plus Passport ebooks. And then just before you hand us your credit card, type in the code JANSEM 125 and you get 25% off. What a deal. I'm drinking a lot of very, very strong coffee on purpose. All right. So Zach, are we comfortable with the difference between threads and pipelines, or what we're now calling cores? Pipelines and or cores are physical things. If I had a good enough microscope and a good enough pair of laser cutters, I could cut out a pipeline and put it in your hand. It would be really small. And threads are the smallest distinct chunks of code that are spawned by processes. it's the way they're compiled. So when you compile a program, the compilers are designed to spawn threads as the CPU calls for them. All right. Looking for questions. Oh, Zach's here. Jason Helms is here. Michael Reeves. Alan Dugan's always here. Always appreciated. Zach. Da-da-ba-dum. Sean McLaughlin's here. Andre, of course, is here. My favorite Belgian. Jane Slayer. At 2 o'clock. What time is it now? 2:16. Is Network Plus Cert and A Plus realistic enough to get a job without experience in this current job market? Yeah. More than that, you don't need any certifications to really get a job. They help. A certification is never going to get you a job. A certification is only going to put your name at the top of a stack of resumes. So Jane, to sit here and say, I will get X number of certifications and then go get a job, you're making a mistake. You need to stop thinking that way. I don't know where you live, Jane, but if you were here in the United States, if you had bilateral symmetry, if you had decent speaking, reading, writing skills, and if you could lift 25 pounds, and if you showed an aptitude and an interest in technology, I could guarantee you about 7 or 8 places here in the Houston area, starting at around $17 an hour, that would instantly hire you. They don't want an A+. They don't want a network. They know what they are, and they would ask you to go for them. In fact, some of them will even help pay for those certifications. But that's just not how it works. 6 months ago, we had my buddy Jessica Dickerson on. And Jessica Dickerson talked about how to get entry-level IT security jobs without any certification or degree. Or you had to have a high school degree. And we literally walked people through how to get these kind of jobs. We had Jessica back on what type of websites to look at. You know, how many people go to LinkedIn but don't use it right? So we have another thing on that. So go get a job. Go get a job. I don't want to hear this, oh, I'm going to go get A+ and then Net Plus and Security Plus, and then I'll get a job. You'll get better jobs with that. Go to work. Man. I love you, Jane. I'm on your team. Andrew Parrish. Oh, Alex is here. Alex, everybody got their bread, I think. I'm pretty sure. I literally ate an entire loaf of Alex's delicious Italian bread in the course of a day. And it was delicious. But, ugh. And a candy bar. Let's see what we got going here. Good Lord, Mike, Scott Jernigan said back at 2:03. Oh, from overdosing myself? Yeah, we'll see what happens. Just looking for questions here, guys. Zach Morehill, got a question. If my computer has a DVI-D port and my monitor has HDMI and DisplayPort, if I am getting a converter, which port would be better to use? Almost certainly the DisplayPort, but honestly, if your computer has a DVI port, it probably means it's not outputting anything much. If it's doing 1080, I'd be surprised. It's doing 1080, but nothing more than that. And I would go that route. The downside to using an HDMI to a DVI to HDMI, no, I was about to lie to you. Never mind, you're good. It would probably work about the same either way. The risk with the HDMI is that because HDMI has DRM in it, with certain media, if you tried to play it, you would potentially have some problems with resolution and things like that. With DisplayPort, you're not going to. Kramen, good Russian name there. I can't read Russian. Hey, Mike, I just passed your CompTIA 1001 with your courses. Just wanted to say thank you to you. Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming along, man. Kamal Gubanov, according to Scott Jernigan. Thank you, Scott. Justin Miller at 2:09 p.m. I took my Network Plus exam and failed by 23 points. Ooh, Justin, sorry, man. I plan to take it again in 2 months. I just want to update everyone. Yeah, look, Justin, we all fail exams. I'm very, very sorry that happened. It happens a lot. I fail about 1/3 of all the exams I take. Other than the expense and the time, it's not that big of a deal. You just retake it. Nobody cares. But again, I'm very sorry about that. I think a couple of months is about the right thing to do. You're doing good. Toilet wants a Snoopy mug. That's what you get for living in Hawaii, man. Andrew Parrish. Andrew Parrish. Famous Boston Celtic named Parrish. Hey, Mike, I was intending to tell you I passed the Core 1001, but I had issues with the online proctoring system, so I must Oh, dude! Andrew, send me an email. Andrew, please send an email to michaelm@totalsem.com. Give me the basic rundown as to what happened. I'm extremely curious. Sorry, getting all kinds of messages coming in. Seems like Michael Smyer disagrees with me on the cabling, but I'm pretty comfortable I'm right. So listen to whoever you want. Elbow, Mike. Are APIPA addresses ever used practically or created on purpose, or are they ever used as a sort of identifier of an issue? No, APIPA addresses are extremely important. They're not used as an identifier of an issue. APIPA addresses were invented so that if a DHCP server goes down, local area networks will still be able to run. Yeah, you won't be able to get on the internet, probably. But, you know, things like your printers will still work, hopefully. You can still talk to other computers because they're all of these devices are dependent on a APIPA address. Here's one thing. Give me a minute to dig in here. I can show you about APIPAs that most people don't pay for. We as technicians, if we're looking for a problem, yes, we use the visual of an APIPA address to recognize that the DHCP server is down. But APIPA has a reason for existing. How am I going to get to this? So I want to pull up my network and sharing center on this computer. Give me just a second to get to this. Okay. Here we go. You guys ready? Check this out. All right, so this is my network settings. Hang on a minute. He's being pilly. All right, so this is my network connection. So I'm going to right-click on my network connection. I'm going to go to Properties. And I'm going to head over down to IPv4. All right, so we've all done this before, but what I want to, you can either double click or you can click on properties. It all does the same thing. And this is where, if you followed any of my training stuff, is where we change between static and dynamic IP addressing for Windows system. Hopefully this is familiar to you guys. However, do you see this other tab right here called alternate configuration? So alternate configuration is basically, what do I do if I need a different address. So basically, I can say automatic private IP addressing, or if I want to, I can type in manual information. So basically, if I want to, right here, if the DHCP server goes down, I basically just turn into a static server, and I can just type in whatever I want. This allows people to do some fairly interesting things. For example, they can set aside a block of IP addresses to never be used except as alternate configuration. So let's say your internal network ID is 192.168.4, okay? So your DHCP server is passing out 192.168.4.50 to 192.168.4.70. You have a small network. Uh-oh. Fingers crossed, people. Scott's got his finger on the Zoom button to be able to switch over if I fall asleep. It didn't say it was drowsy formula, so I think I'm all right. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, APIPA. All right, so I've got this one block of addresses, but I can save another block of addresses, say 192.168.4.150 to 192.168.4.170. And I can set these aside not to be used for DHCP, but for people to type in as their alternate IP address. A lot of times if the DHCP server goes down, that doesn't actually mean that your internet's broken as well. Yes, for most people, especially in a SOHO environment, you've got a home router, which is also your DHCP server, and if that box goes down, probably everything else is down too, but it doesn't have to be. And you can just check your IP address and suddenly see, hey, wait a minute, I'm using one of those 192.168.4.151. My DHCP server's down. The plus side to doing something like this is even in a local area network, most of the time in your local area network, your file servers, your printers, your cameras are all going to have static IP addresses. So they're all going to be 192.168.4.22 or 20, whatever it is that you've configured for your network ID. If we go to an APIPA address, and all of a sudden you're getting your 169.254 address, the only people you're going to be able to talk to are the other people who tried to get to a DHCP server and failed. So maybe a couple other people in the office, you might be able to, share a folder or something like that. But the reality is, in most of people's today's offices, the days of one person sharing their C:\documents drive as kind of like a file server have faded tremendously. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It happens, but it's rare. Even in the smallest SOHO environments, invariably you're looking at a NAS box that's acting as a file server and it's got a static IP address. Or you've got cameras, or you got the laser printer that everybody prints to. They all have static IP addresses. If you switch to an APIPA address because your DHCP server's down, you can't even get to your local stuff. If you have the spare addresses, why not just change a few of those so that you can, if the DHCP server's down, just use one of these alternate addresses that you type in. It works. Let's see what we got. InfoSec Anvil at Total Seminars channel at 2:23 p.m. What part of the test do most people fail? There is no, so I'm not sure what test you're talking about. Are we talking about A+? It doesn't matter. There is no perfect correlation. CompTIA doesn't give us that information, okay? So everything you're about to hear from me is speculation. And there is no correlation in terms of any particular topic areas that people fail a lot. It seems to be pretty evenly spread. Jason Helms, Mike, the last time I took my test, I had a very hard time with the proctor. It was a nightmare. Jason, send me some information. Please, please, please send me an email. I actually can provide some amount of feedback. So Jason, send an email to michaelm@totalsem.com and give me the basic rundown on that. I'd very much like to hear about your experience. Andre, the yawning has started. Sorry, man. I'm okay. It's non-drowsy. I'm drinking lots of coffee. And I took these stupid pills to keep me from coughing and sneezing and rubbing my nose. And yeah, Scott Jernigan's at home right now shaving, guys. I guarantee it. Axa 227 says, the biggest part about interviews is to show some enthusiasm. Absolutely. I need dependable, enthusiastic people who can work relatively independently. And that's about all I want. These are entry-level jobs. I don't expect a lot of skills from people. Patricia Grace, yay! Was driving, so I couldn't say hi. I'm home now, so hello, nerds. Hello, Patricia Grace. Jason Elms. It was online. I waited about 45 minutes to an hour to be contacted. He was giving me crap about a few things I won't go into here. I would be very interested in hearing about it, Jason, if you've got the time. Keisha Green. RDP and mobile phones, is it possible? Absolutely. My Android comes with a wonderful remote desktop tool. I don't have it installed right now. Yeah, Microsoft has a remote desktop tool that it comes with Android. I'm assuming it comes with Apple's as well, and it works pretty good. I've played with it. Now, granted, I've got a bigger screen, which helps. And like if there's any time you needed to type, just like in a regular phone app, the keyboard will pop up on an as-needed basis. Did a pretty good job. There's another one that's much more highly rated called VNC Viewer. Can I put that up? It's called VNC Viewer. I can't quite. Anyway, VNC. Victory. Nighttime. Charlie. VNC. It will support RDP as well as its own protocols and SSH and all kinds of stuff. So whether you're coming in through on port 22 or port 3389 with RDP, there are great ways to do it with Android. I've never tried doing it on an Apple. Mizuki Raitanazaki. Woof. Is LTO and DLT backup something really relevant for backups nowadays? Yeah, it is. If you can find legitimate backup scenarios, which are becoming more and more rare. Digital linear tape, DLT, has probably got 95% of that market, would be my quick guess. But honestly, for the exams, Masuki, if you recognize those acronyms as technologies of tape for backup, you're probably fine, honestly. Uh, 2:32 p.m. Kleeman Sestersic. Do you recommend to learn from multiple sources or only by the book? I love Keeman, number one. I love it when you say the book, which implies that I'm the only book out there for whatever topic you're inferring, which is good. I will take that compliment. But to seriously answer your question, it's always good to use multiple sources. So Kleeman. I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name, dude. Most people find 3 tools necessary to pass any certification. Some kind of book, paper or ebook, a video series, usually one by some good-looking and well-spoken subject matter expert, and then number 3 is going to be practice questions. I think it's very, very important that you have multiple sources for practice questions more than anything else. I'm not trying to be overly pompous when I say things like, I don't see any other books out there, nor do I see any other videos out there that I think hold a candle to what I do. There, I said it. But I will say that a lot of people generate good practice questions. And having a second set of practice questions can be a huge benefit. Because what happens, Clement, is people start to listen when you're reading practice questions, and you start to read the voice of the person who wrote the questions. So even if my questions are good, I may not have the same voice that you would hear if you were reading the actual practice questions. I try to mimic the voice. People sit there and go, what do you mean by voice? Look, if I saw an Ernest Hemingway novel, I would have to read one paragraph and I could tell you that it's Ernest Hemingway. It's not hard. He has a very specific voice in his writing. Well, people who write practice questions also have a voice in their writing. And it can be a very negative effect for people who are practicing for certification exams to use a single source. Not because the questions are bad, the questions are usually quite good. However, that voice can get in your way. As a learner, you tune into the voice, and that creates weaknesses in your learning process. Having a second set of practice questions makes you listen to another voice, and it works like a champ. All right, Jason, I prefer an email, but we can do whatever you want. I'll definitely be on Discord today. Guys, a couple of things while we're at it. I hope you guys are enjoying listening to me today, but do keep in mind a few things. Number 1, please like and subscribe to the Total Seminars channel right here on YouTube. It helps the channel a lot, and I'd really, really appreciate it if you'd like it and subscribe to it. If you don't like it, honestly, with YouTube, bad news is better than no news. So I'd prefer you like it, but if you don't like it, say I don't like it. That's equally good. Also, do keep in mind, we do have a Discord channel. Let me rephrase that. I don't have a Discord channel. All right. There is a Discord channel out there, which is the unofficial Mike Meyers Discord channel. I am not associated with it. I don't own it. I am not a moderator on it. I didn't spin it up. I didn't do anything. It is not associated with my company, Total Seminars. It's not associated with my employees, Dave Rush, Scott Jernigan. Caveat, 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 caveat. However, it's turning into kind of a good place to hang out, especially if you're looking to study. You'll have a lot of people in there who can help you out. I'm only on twice a week, so this is on all the time. Even if there's nobody in the Discord channel, just write a question in. They've got channels for just enter a question in, and usually, it's within a few hours, somebody answers it. Sometimes even me. So do keep in mind, and Scott Jernigan will put up the link for that totally unofficial Discord channel that we have out there. 239. We're doing good. All right. Do keep in mind, we're gonna get started on subnetting today, but we're just gonna get started. Cats singing in the background. Were there cats singing? Kitty, kitty, kitty. I don't see any cats. There goes Mike making up acronyms again. I highly doubt it stands for Victory Nighttime Charlie. Made me think of a funny movie, which I probably shouldn't say. Roger, Sphincter, Mucus, Niner, Ringworm. Miles Johnson, I'm taking my A+ 22012 in 30 minutes. Miles, what are you doing? I would like to just say thank you. Good luck to you, Miles. Heck, dude, Hey man, Miles, do me a favor. After you take the test, come back on. Let us know how you did. Fingers crossed. Good luck, man. And get off this thing. I mean, unless you're just relaxing and having fun. You are helping people a lot more than you think you are. Well, no, Miles, I think I'm helping people. It's not the worst feeling in the world to realize that you make money by helping people learn stuff. Yeah. I'm ahead of most people with that. I will admit to that happily. Yeah, Tolowitz says he overdosed on meds, but it made him go fast. I'm worried mine's going to make me go slow. But I feel fine, so that's perfect. I'm kidding. Mike has to do the Discord disclaimer because I am there, or is it because Zach Moore? It's because both of you and Andre are there. Everybody else is great. Andrew Parrish. How far apart is good to schedule the 1001 and 1002 exams? Andrew, for years, I told people to take them one right after the other. Literally, schedule both exams. Take one exam, then go smoke a cigarette or go eat some lunch, then come back and take the second exam. It is, Andrew, I agree that it should wait. I will wait no more than 1 to 2 weeks while the 1001 is fresh. Look, even if you fail the 1001, still go take the 1002. I still think even if you make a space between the 1001 and 1002, you're still probably going to schedule them at the same time. Unless scheduling has now become much more convenient than it used to be. Scheduling traditionally for these types of certifications was a weeks in advance kind of thing. A lot of people have been telling me it's a lot easier now. I haven't really looked into it. But couple of weeks sounds about right to me. Ulysses Ferreira, how can I join the Discord channel? Ulysses, it's up there, man. There's a link is right there. Put in roughly within a minute after you ask that, before you ask that. Scott calls himself a pinch hitter. I would call him an understudy. He has to know all the words, all the lines. Patricia Grace at 242. I finished the Udemy Total 7 Network Plus course just a couple months before taking my Network course at home. Okay. Patricia, everybody's different. Everybody's different. Gamers World just showed up. Hello, Gamers World. All right, looks like questions have slowed down. So what I do want to do is I want to start talking about subnetting. What I don't want to do right now is make a big, long discussion of what is subnetting. I have some pretty good videos that we did a couple of months back on subnetting. What I want to do this time is we'll do a little quickie overview today and get some basics down today. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to use this video as a reference source. So when people start asking me, how do I do X? I'm going to have this video series, which is going to run, it's 2:44. This will run about 20 minutes. This, plus we're going to have a few more practices where I'm not going to teach you how to do anything. I'm just going to have us run through A+, Net Plus type subnetting scenarios. And then we'll just practice the answer, and we'll do competitions and stuff. We were not going to do any competitions today because I want you guys learning. So let's go ahead and get started with subnetting. Couple of rules. First of all, rule number 1, you need paper in front of you. So what I have is just good old white printer paper. This is similar to the type of paper that you'd be allowed to use in a CompTIA exam, the ones that give you paper. Some of them give you a whiteboard, but either way, white paper is laying around. And I have a pen. Now I've got a Sharpie here because I got a feeling I'm going to have to hold this up to the camera a couple of times. But in order for me to do subnetting, if you don't have these, you're wasting my time. You're literally wasting my time. So I want everybody to take a minute, go find some paper, go find a pen. Do that right now. I will wait a couple of minutes while you guys are scrambling for pens and paper. I'm just going to talk about little stuff while people are scrambling to get pens and paper. One of the big challenges that I want to do, and the reason I'm going to break this up into pieces, is because most people ignore subnetting. Like here in Texas, when you're going for your driver's license, did you know you can fail parallel parking and still get your driver's license? So in Texas, a lot of people won't even bother with the parallel parking. They'll just do the driver's test with the policeman in the car, and then they don't care if they fail the parallel parking because they get their driver's license. There's a lot of people who feel that way on subnetting, that they would rather just not study subnetting under A+, or particularly Network Plus, and the attitude is I'll just fail that part and I'll instead use all this extra time to concentrate on the other areas. There is a strong argument for that. But I will tell you this, and that is those who take the time to learn subnetting get to appreciate IP addressing at a level that most other people don't. Understanding at least basic subnetting, to me, is one of those things that separates the amateurs from the professionals. I'm not to say everybody's perfect, and I guarantee you're going to find errors in the stuff I do. But the reality is that subnetting is out there. And the problem we run into with subnetting is for most people, because they don't subnet at home and they don't subnet in small offices. So they're like, well, who's subnetting? Subnetting is done all the time, constantly, millions of times per day, all over the world. But the problem is it's not being done by individuals, nor is it being done in SOHO networks. It's being done in enterprise level networks. It's being done if you are an ISP from a little mom and pop ISP in western Nebraska to Xfinity, you are subnetting all the time. So subnetting is a critical and important issue that if you really wanted to, you could probably skip and still pass A+ and Net+. All right, so with that attitude in mind, let me see what kind of questions are coming. Jane Thayer, did you hear about the Verizon outage? Yeah, I did. Verizon is screwing up big time. Verizon has put a bunch of 5G boxes in people's front yards here in the Houston area. Hang on. It's got people are just infuriated right now at Verizon. Yeah, this came out just a couple of days ago. I don't want to play the whole thing for you guys, but I would like you to see at least this part. And that is, let's try it one more time. So Verizon is putting these god-awful 5G boxes all over the Houston area. And the problem is that it's driving people insane because they're not even trying to put them in backyards or anything like that. They're literally putting it on the right-of-way in front of everybody's house. And it's got people here in Houston are just pissed. There's already been multiple cases of vandalism, and I think Verizon's going to have to come up with something a little bit smarter than that. So, and it's only Verizon. The other folks are being smart about it. They're putting 5G boxes next to existing boxes, putting them at ends of streets, something like that. And Verizon's just being a jerk. Actually, I'd be very curious about Scott Jernigan talking about his experience with the Verizon boxes. Scott, have any of those shown up? It's actually up in the Heights and up around, can't remember the names of neighborhoods anymore. Up around your neighborhood, Scott, is where these 5G boxes are showing up all over the place. So it's a real big thing. All right, we're almost done. We're going to get to subnetting here shortly. All right, so yeah, Scott brought up two other AMAs. Two other AMAs that we've done, but this is going to be more practice. The other two AMAs are more like, what is subnetting and why do we do it? And they're excellent, and there are some good examples in here, but trust me, we're going to do more. All right, Patricia Grace, I've been given a voucher for the Network Plus exam, and I had to schedule it before I felt really ready. Mike's advice to schedule the exam first was key. Made me cram and really study. Didn't work, Patricia. I'm glad it studied. You guys, dogs and cats subnetting together from total at 248. I'm only a couple minutes behind. Gamers World, I finished the A+ on Udemy and learned a lot, and I feel I can definitely pass the A+ exam, but I can't take the test for now because it's so pricey. Now I started the Net Plus course. Gamers World. First of all, Gamers World, are you still a student? If you're still a student, contact your school. CompTIA works with schools. They don't work with individuals. If you're not in a school, all right, this isn't going to work. Check your school. They have programs that can dramatically lower the price of the exams, but you have to be in school. Here in the United States, like for example, certain states, God, I don't remember which states they are. If you're in a certain state and you're in a school, even if your school doesn't have the CompTIA cheap testing program, anybody in the state has it. I don't remember them all. You're going to have to contact CompTIA to get more details about that. And again, if you're not a registered student, forget about it. So Gamers World, I'm just throwing that out in hopes that might be helpful to you. Oh, look at Michael Reeves. 249. I did subnetting, but I didn't get any subs. Told you got somebody who's going to be running away. You're going for the snappy repartee there. Now, you guys are all just chittering away. Okay, here we go. So what I want to do here is let's go ahead and just start talking about things. If you need more details on some of this stuff, you're going to have to go back to some of those other ones. But let's go ahead, and all we're going to be doing today is make sure do a quick understanding of why we subnet. Then we're going to be doing some real simple kind of subnetting, because because I'm trying something new, and it's always fun to try this with you guys. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Let's talk about subnetting. All right. So first of all, you got to understand my rules. Number one, IP subnetting is a very common process. It's just that it's rarely done in SOHO environments. So why do we subnet? The reason we subnet, folks, is because we ran out of IPv4 addresses a long time ago. And if you need static IP addresses, now just stop for a minute. The vast majority of SOHO networks out there get a public IP address for the WAN side of their router and then use nothing but internal addresses use private IP addresses. Do you understand that? That is the common SOHO thing. You do have one public IP address, and it's on the WAN side of your router. Well, okay. Well, what would happen if I had 6 or 7 web servers, or I had a mail server, or I had something else out there that I wanted to be on the public internet? Well, if you do, each one of those devices has to have its own unique public IP address. All of them. And if you don't have that, Then you have to do bizarre stuff like port forwarding through NATed routers, which you don't want to do if you want to have any kind of throughput at all. The problem is all of you guys have been living through NATed routers your whole lives. You don't know what it feels like to talk on a system that is directly connected to the internet without even having NAT. The difference is pretty dramatic, folks. NAT eats up bandwidth and slows stuff down. And on top of that, you can't get to any of the public servers because they don't have they don't have an address. So if you have public-facing devices, they are going to need public IP addresses. It's very rare to see a situation where every computer on your network, every little smartphone and every camera and every printer needs a public IP address. That doesn't happen. However, it's not uncommon to have like a bunch of branch offices, and in every branch office, you've got the WAN side of your router, which is going to need a connection. Maybe you're going to have a WAN side of a VPN. You have a separate VPN device because you guys are always contacting each other. So you have a separate VPN device, and it has a public IP address. You might have a little public-facing file server or FTP server. FTP servers are very common today. And if you have an email server, it's going to have a public address, period. All right, so not everybody needs a public IP address for every location, but most individual locations, especially when you start using terms like branch offices or divisions, each one of these groups have a few things that can need need a public IP address. So if you're an organization, you want public IP addresses for some of your stuff. And you get these public IP addresses from internet service providers. Internet service providers all have stacks of network IDs that they can pass out, and every address in that network ID is a public legit address, all of them. The challenge is if I'm an ISP, I'm going to get like a big chunk of addresses, but since most of my customers only need 3, 4, 5 addresses per location, I'm probably going to subnet that myself. I'm going to subnet it. I'm the ISP. It's going to come pre-subnetted. And then all of a sudden, when somebody like Mike Meyers calls up Xfinity and says, hey man, I need like 2 public IP addresses. One for the WAN side of my router and then one for my VPN, whatever. They have network IDs ready to go. And all of a sudden I'm going to be, 1.2.3.282 whack 30 address. So what I'm more worried about than anything else is that you're not going to have much of an opportunity in your life to take large network IDs and subnet them and then pass them out to other people. What you do run into with subnetting is that you are going to be the end result. And all of a sudden, you're going to get a piece of paper or an email from your ISP and says, you now have control of network ID, 1.2.3.4, whack 30. And you need to know what that means. And you need to know what your addresses are. So we're going to concentrate on that today. And then sometime next week, we're going to have another discussion. And all we're going to do is practice. I'm just going to throw out questions at you, and all you're going to do is practice. What you will learn today, more than anything else, is you will get methodologies down pat, so when you run into these questions, you can answer them. Okay? All right. Let's get back to my PowerPoint. All right. So everything in subnetting is done in binary. We convert back to dotted decimal at the end. The biggest mistake that people make when they're trying to learn how to subnet is that they try to not convert everything into binary first. everything has to be converted into ones and zeros. At the very least, it's going to be your subnet mask, but also usually your network ID range as well gets converted into binary. You do whatever you got to do, whatever genuflexes you got to do, and then when you're done with the answer, you then convert everything back into dotted decimal notation. Once that's done, then we're good. So yeah, we're going to spend some time converting, and we've done this before, but we're going to do it again. I need you guys to be able to convert from dotted decimal or octet to binary and back, and I need you to be able to do it quickly. That's why you've all got a pen and paper, right? You guys actually have in front of you right now a pen and paper, not some notepad on your tablet. Real good old Dunder Mifflin paper and a pen. All right. Next rule. The next rule is that you always write out the starting subnet mask. There is no question in the existence of subnetting that doesn't have you do this. When you write out a subnet mask, it's going to say, John has a whack 24, which means you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, put a period there if you want. I'm writing out a subnet mask in binary, people. 255, 255, 2550, whack 24. You know this by now. If you don't, you need to say something real quick that you don't understand. Whack 24 means 24 ones followed by 8 zeros. I'm going to pretend that you guys do for the moment. Okay, so blah, blah, blah started off with whack 24. So you type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, dot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, dot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 24, dot, and then 8 zeros. That's what whack 24 means. Whack 24 means it's a subnet mask. It means that there are 24 ones followed by 8 zeros. All subnet masks are a string of ones followed by a string of zeros, totaling 32. There is no exception to that ever, anywhere, unless you're using IPv6 or something weird like that. Okay. Okay. Let's get back to this. Every question I ask, you're going to first write out the subnet mask in binary. Now, if you get clever at this and you can sit there and go, Mike, I really don't need to write out 24 ones every time, fine. Use whatever kind of shortcut you want, but just know it's a shortcut. Anybody who tries to do subnetting without first writing out the subnet mask in binary is an idiot. All right. If needed, you can add the starting network ID as well. 90% of these questions you run into on A+, Net+, and CCNA, for that record, are always going to be like, Tommy has been issued a network ID of 192.168.4.0 whack 24. They all start off like that. And it's going to say, if Tommy needs to break this down at least 5 subnets, how many hosts will be in each subnet? You get the idea? So you're always going to be writing out the subnet mask in binary, and you're probably going to be, Scott says I'm clipping. Check one, check one. Sorry, guys, I'm a little clippy according to my producer here. Check one, check one. Check one, check one. I guess I sound okay. All right. So you're going to write down the subnet mask, and then you're going to write down the starting network ID as well most of the time. All right, let's keep going here. So you then move the subnet mask to the right to get your answer. So invariably with subnetting, you're going to start with a whack 24, and then you're going to break it down into a certain number of whack 26s, or a certain number of whack 27s, or a certain number of whack 28s, or whatever it is. So you start with a line at the last one of your subnet mask, and you just keep moving it over. So if I move it over one, I turn a whack 24 into a whack 25. What do I get? You see where I'm coming from? So you always have this two-line situation while you're trying to calculate. I need X number of network IDs, or I need X number of hosts, or whatever it might be. This is everything you do. This is everything you do with subnetting. You write out a subnet mask, whatever they tell you to start with, and they always will, and then you just start moving the subnet mask along, breaking it up into individual subnetworks, and that's how you get your answer. In fact, most of the time, folks, you don't even have to write out the network ID. Most of the time, here, I can do it in my head. Tommy has a blah, blah, blah WAC24 subnet. If he needs 3 subnets, if he needs 3 subnets, what would the new subnet mask be? Well, it's 24. If I move it over to 1, that gives me 2 subnets, right? Or a 0 or a 1. Okay? Think about that for a minute, people. So I'd have one subnet that's all zeros, one subnet that's all ones. I said I needed, 3? So I move it over 2. Now I get 2 0 0 1 1 0 or 1 1. I get 4. Well, Mike, I said I wanted 3. Tough bananas. You either get 2 or 4. Okay? The question said it needed 3, so you give them 4. You see where I'm coming from? I don't even need to know what the network ID is to get the answer for that type of a question. I draw out the subnet mask in binary, and then based on the question, I just keep extending the subnet mask until I get the answer that people want. That's 95% of the questions that are out there. You're not going to run into many questions that are going to say, okay, you started off with a 192.168.4. If you break that down to a WAC29 subnet, how many subnets will you get? How many hosts will be in each subnet? And what is the network ID range? I mean, you can do that, but there's no CompTIA test that's going to ask you at that level of detail. All right, so one more time, let's go over these rules so life is easier. Number 1, IP subnetting is very common. Just because you live in a Soho world, don't think that it isn't there. It's extremely common. Number 2, everything is done in binary, which means you have to be very comfortable converting dotted decimal to binary and binary back to dotted decimal. And we're going to do that today. It's the first thing we're going to do. You answer every subnetting question by first writing out the starting subnet mask. Patricia has a WAC27 network. How many hosts are in her WAC27 network? So you write out that, and then that's where you're going to get your answers. You then move the subnet mask to the right, and that eventually gives you some kind of answer in some kind of cases. And in most cases, you can ignore the network ID completely, because if they're just asking number of hosts or number of network IDs, that's usually just by looking at the subnet mask. And you can ignore it. All right. Everybody got a pen and paper ready? All right. Because the big thing we're going to do today, more than anything else, is we're going to be doing some very simple stuff with just manipulating IP addresses. And then come Monday, it'll be Monday, we're going to come back. And on Monday, the only thing I want to do is practice questions. Practice questions, practice questions. And so let's get some of the basics out of the way right now. You guys ready? Let's do this. All right. So first of all, let's talk about writing out subnet masks, okay? So this is an example of a WAC24 subnet mask. Now, you'll notice I actually wrote in the periods here. I don't normally write in periods, but I think that helps people. Oh my God, I'm starting to feel that there's questions. Michael Reeves won't be here Monday, but Michael Reeves, my video will still be here, and you can watch it anytime you want. And practice and practice and practice. You sure, Axe, Axe using Notepad is probably not even going to work, but we'll see if you can pull it off. One more time, guys. I need everybody to nod your head up and down and go, I understand that is a subnet mask. That is 255.255.255.0. Also known as a WAC24. Count the number of ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 24. It's whack 24. You want to instantly tell me that you're a newbie for networking? Every time you see a subnet mask, call it, oh, that's 255.255.255.0. That is literally one of the number one ways that I can tell a noob from somebody who knows what they're talking about. That is a whack 24. It is 24 ones followed by 8 zeros. All subnet masks or IPv4 are 32 bits wide. There is no exception ever. All subnet masks are a certain number of ones. There's no zeros in there, folks. It's a certain number of ones followed by a certain number of zeros. No exceptions. Jack is trying to kill something. Jack's starting to bring me little fun critters. All right, let's get back to this. Here we go. Okay, so if we look at this, we call that a whack 24. Good enough? Now let's take a look at this one. You can see I've got, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, followed by 16 zeros. So that's 16 ones. We call it a whack 16. One more time. Here's one where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, followed by 16 ones. We call this one a, whoops, call that a whack 8. The fathers of the internet, when they invented IPv4, they had 32 binary values to work with, okay? And then they had to decide how are they going to present these 32 binary values. But now they knew they were going to have subnetting, okay? That was understood. So the idea is that, one day there'd be a router in Houston called the 14 router. And any router that hooked to the 14 router, one of those routers would have been the 14.1 router. And another router would have been the 14.2 router. And another router would have been the 14.3 router. And then whoever hooked to the 14.1 router, there'd be the 14.1.1 router, the 14.1.2. It's called aggregation. It never happened for a lot of reasons. But they tried, okay? So all they've been able to do is keep individual public network IDs separate, and routers do that by just being respectful of network IDs and how they route stuff. So why 3 dots? Where did that come from? Couldn't they have done 4 dots? Yeah, you got to think about that. 32 binary values. So they could have put 2 binary values together, and then that would have been separated by 15 dots. Or they could have used hexadecimal and had 4 binary characters separated by 7 dots. The reason there's 3 dots, folks, is because when they invented this stuff back in the late 60s, early 70s, they never thought that you'd be more than 3 routers away from the top of the internet. It was outside of their comprehension that anybody would need more than 3 routers. Yeah, they were wrong. Well, whatever. We get to live with the results of this. John Nash, A Beautiful Mind. Okay, let's go ahead and get back into this beastie. Okay. All right, so let's write out some more subnet masks. Except this time what I want to do is I want to stop working at the dots. The dots didn't work. To be able to separate all IP addresses by 3 dots, all network IDs by 3 dots, there just wasn't enough dots. So the whole idea of subnetting, folks, the whole idea of subnetting is adding more dots, is really all we're doing. So instead of saying whack 8, whack 16, whack 24, we can say things like whack 27. We can say things like whack 19. We can say things like whack 3 if we want to. And the whole reason we go through all this pain and suffering is because, in all probability, because somebody back in the 60s couldn't wrap their head around that nobody would ever need more than 3 routers away from the top of the internet. Seriously. So the number one thing that we worry about when we talk about subnetting is we talk about classless interdomain routing, or Cider. Cider addressing is something that is off the WAC 8, WAC 16, WAC 24. Classless interdomain routing. And so when you see things like WAC 26 and WAC 19 that's not on the 8, 16, or 24, this is called Cider notation. And I want us to be comfortable with Cider notation on things that aren't on the dots. So let's play. All right, so let's take a look at this one. I need you guys to take a minute, and I want to see some people type in the answer. What is the Cider notation for this subnet? In fact, I'm not going to move forward until somebody types it into the chat. I'll give you a clue. Count the ones. Count them. There you go. That makes me happy. Even Zach uses the term WAC, which I think is that much cooler. So that is a WAC 27. Excellent. Thank you, guys. Good. Easy. So what I've done here is I've written out another subnet mask, but in this case, I have dropped the dots. I just don't like the dots. The dots don't need to be there, folks. Dots aren't physical things. Everybody turns into these victims of the dots, and if you watch my other videos, you're going to hear me rant about this as well, too. The whole problem with subnetting, folks, is because the dots stink. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. We're stuck. We tried for the first 20 years of the internet, we tried to use Class A, Class B, Class C. That failed. All right? The whole reason subnetting is a bit of a challenge is because they didn't put enough dots. So I just get rid of the dots. They don't exist. People mean, what do you mean they don't exist? What's my phone number? You know, it's open parenthesis 281 close parenthesis 555 dash 1212. Does that mean parenthesis actually exists in my phone number? Does that mean a dash exists in my phone number? Of course not. Of course not. It's used because of these, what for the old Star Trek, bags of mostly water called human beings, because the computers don't need, telephone systems don't need parentheses or dashes or any of that garbage. All right? So why don't we get rid of them too? Let's get back to this. All right. What is this subnet mask? Somebody write it out for me. Oh, looks like we had a few people do it already. Excellent. So a lot of people are saying WAC 29. All right. How did you get that? You got it by counting them, folks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 29, followed by 3 zeros, because remember, a subnet mask is always going to be 32 binary values long, a string of ones followed by a string of zeros. Excellent. So WAC 29. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. You guys ready? Here we go. Somebody do that for me. What subnet mask is that? Michael Reeves said 32 minus 3. That works. That is a WAC 12. Cool. Almost all of the questions that you run into on CompTIA for subnetting is it starts with a WAC 24 and then you subnet it down to a WAC 26 or a WAC 28 or a WAC whatever. But the fact that you can take big ones, like you can start with like a WAC 8 and chop it down into a whole bunch of WAC 12s. You can. And people start freaking out because they do everything. They start at the WAC 24 and they think because now they've started at WAC 8 that suddenly something magical has changed. It hasn't. It all works the exact same way, people, if you follow Mike's rule set. Now, what's the number one thing we do? We write out the subnet mask in binary. Excellent. All right, let's get back into this. Okay, so let's do some conversions because I want you guys to be able to convert binary to dotted decimal and back very, very quick. Here's where the pen and paper come into play. In order to convert binary to dotted decimal and back, all you need is a piece of paper and you write the number 128 in one corner. You do this. Can you do that? All right. So you write the number 128. Now, obviously, I can't be doing all this. I wish I could, man. It's still my house, but I wish I had my real studio where we have whiteboards and all kinds of cool stuff. All right. So anyway, let's go ahead and do this. Here we go. So we write 128 in the upper left-hand corner. Now, what's half of 128? 64. What's half of 64 is 32. What's half of 32 is 16. 8, 4, 2, 1. Dotted decimal is a number between 0 and 255 that represents 8 binary digits. There are 8 binary digits between all the dots in dotted decimal notation. If you keep that in mind, this is going to help you a lot. Because what we have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right? Watch how this works. So I'm going to start off with the binary value 100101001, and I want to convert this into dotted decimal notation. Be warned, folks. Most people, you will do this on Network Plus. You will do this with a piece of paper on Network Plus. Even though this is not the direct question it's asking, you will still end up doing this. So here we go. Hello, cat. What do you want, Jack? I'm trying to teach people stuff. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put that number underneath each point in this. You see? So 1 goes to 1, 0, 0, 0. You see what I'm doing? Is everybody happy with this? All right, here we go. So wherever there's a 1, you bring the value down. There's a 1 here, so put a 128 here. These are zeros, don't do anything. 16, put a value. 4, put a value. 1, put a value. And then all you got to do is add them up. And in this case, I believe I get 149. Is that right? 24, yeah, 149. Okay? So 149 is equal to 1010101. I need you to be able to do this. You guys ready? Here we go. Let's start with the number 33. Oh, no, let's not do that. Let's do 1. I want to do this in a way you guys can actually read this. You guys ready? Here's the 8 digits. Everybody ready? Everybody ready? Here we go. 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. So it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. That's where I need my whiteboard. 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. Convert this into dotted decimal notation, please. I can almost do that in my head, too. Convert it. I'm waiting. I want to see some answers. Oh, we got some answers. Great. Good. The answer is 10. Well done, guys. Folks, if you don't understand something, here's where you type it in. Okay, there you go. Daniel Delaney, thank you. Why is it 10? All right, so let's start with this number. All right? So Daniel Delaney, you ready? Daniel Delaney, do you have a piece of paper in front of you? And Daniel Delaney, here, I'm going to write it out for you. There you go. Daniel Delaney, you write this down on a piece of paper. Don't think you can do this without writing it down. Don't think you can do this in Notepad and Windows. You can't. You need a piece of paper, and you need a pen. Daniel Delaney, do you have a pencil and a pen? I'm going to say yes. Okay, Daniel Delaney, then the number I gave you guys was this number, 00001010. 00001010. Daniel Delaney, you see what I did? 00001010. Daniel, what are the two numbers that have a 1 underneath them? The 8 and the 2. Daniel Delaney, do you see that? The only two numbers that had a 1 underneath them were the 8 and the 2. Daniel Delaney, what's 8 plus 2? 10! Yay! Let's do it again. Let's do it again, guys. You ready? Didn't I have one halfway started? Yeah, I did. Okay, Daniel Delaney, here we go. Daniel Delaney, convert this number into dotted decimal notation. Convert this binary value into dotted decimal notation. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to write that 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. There is a 128, there's a 64, there's a 16, there's a 4, and there's a 2. And that's 20, that's 66, that's 86, 128, 4. I got 214. Did you guys get 214? Okay, cool. All right. There you go, Daniel. Ulysses, who cares how fast we are? It's just a matter of you getting it at a pace that you like it. Here you go. Ulysses, here's one for you. You guys ready? Michael Reeves, no calculator. We don't need calculators for this. I can add up these numbers. Okay, you guys ready? Here we go. What is this in dotted decimal notation? Quick, come on. This one I'll bet you can almost do without calculation. Projco beats 128. Well done. All right, lots of people got 128. Let's do another one. So Daniel Delaney, at this point, you could probably keep that one piece of paper with the 128 and 64s. You guys ready? What is this? Give me the answer. Excellent. Yes, it's 192. So a lot of times when you see these values where it's a 1 followed by zeros, you get really good at it. Let's do one more and then I'll bring something up. All right, let's do this one more time, guys. Do this bottom one. Eric, there is no race here. Eric, there's no race. You work at your pace that works for you. It's not a race. Eric, you're doing fine. I'm waiting for Eric to put an answer down. Eric, write it down. Eric, come on, put the post up there so I want to see your name. Everybody getting this right? Daniel Delaney got it wrong, but that's okay. All right, I'm embarrassing Eric too much. All right, I'll quit. So when you have USA Health Reform, on the Net Plus exam, this is 329. You don't have scratch paper, but you can kind of know how many hosts can fit. On the Net Plus exam, USA Insurance Health Reform, you do have scratch paper. Unless something has changed, you do have scratch paper. I understand that for some of the people who are doing this online, where you're testing at home, the scratch paper is now reduced to Notepad. It'll still work. All right. So what starts happening is like so we all know that WAC 24 is all zeros at the very end of the subnet, right? 255, 255, 2550, correct? But you start getting used to it. You see this 1 followed by a bunch of zeros. So you start saying things like 128, 192, 224, 248, 252. You just kind of get these memorized because you're going to see it shows up when you're doing like a WAC 25, WAC 26, WAC 27 subnet mask. It's not going to be 255, 255, 2550. It's going to be 255, 255, 255, 192 for a subnet mask. Get it? Cool, huh? All right, we're getting there. The Notepad is crud, Mike. Sorry, dude. USA Health Reform. You just got to get comfortable about this. Jim Barham had trouble with his where they gave him a writing pad that didn't write well. Dude, that's on you, man. You got to check this stuff out. Okay, we're doing good. So what I want to do now is let's reverse the process, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a number, and I need you to convert it into 8 binary digits, okay? So let's go through that process. Number one, the process starts with, you still write a 128 in the upper left-hand corner. So you write all your numbers out like this, okay? So now remember what we're going to do. We're going to start with a number and we're going to convert it into binary. So let's, I'm just picking an arbitrary value between 0 and 255. Keegan Legit. Hello, Mr. Myers. I just purchased a CompTIA. I'm so excited. Keegan, welcome aboard, brother. Come on and have some fun. Joseph Wright wrote a question mark. I want to be a network engineer. Joseph Wright. Let's go ahead and finish this and we'll answer that question for you. All right, here we go. You guys ready? So we're going to convert this 152 into 8 binary digits. So to do that, the first thing we do is we take the 152. How many 128s are there in 152? Well, there's one, right? There's one 128 and 152. These all better come up as ones or zeros or we're in trouble. Let's go through this process and convert 152 into binary. All right, so here's one. There's 152, there's one 128. So 152 minus 128 equals 24. That's what's left over. So now I take that 24 and I carry it over to the 64. How many 64s are in 24? 0, because 64 is bigger than 24. So carry the 24 over to the next one. How many 32s are in 24? 0, because 32 is bigger. How many 16s are in 24? Well, there's one there, right? What's 24 minus 16? 8. How many 8s are there in 8? There's one there. And we're left with 0, which means the next 3 digits are going to be zeros. So what we do now is we take your dotted decimal value, your octal value, and you put it over above the 128. You go, how many of these numbers, how many 128s are in this number? It may be 0, right? And you put a 0. Then you keep moving the number. Anytime you can get 1 in there, you subtract it, and then you take the leftover value and move it to the next number. Let's do it again. Oh, sorry, I forgot to do one important thing here. That is, so 1001, 1000 is 152. So I've converted 152 back into binary using this process. All right. Oh, wait, I don't want to do that yet. All right. Let's practice that. Convert this number into binary. Convert this number into binary. I'm going to write 128 in the upper left-hand corner. Come on, folks. You should be doing this instantly and automatically. How many 128s are in 206? There's one. Oh, God. 206 minus 128 is 8. 9, with a remainder of 78. How many 64s are in 78? There's 1. Leaving a remainder of 12. 0, 0. 12 minus 8 is 1, leaving 4. 4 is 1, 0, 0. All right, guys, I need you to start writing down the answer. I did mine really quick. I'm getting a different answer than you guys. One moment, please. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the calculator that comes with Windows, and I'm going to go over to the programmer. And what was the value? 206, 206. And in binary, it's 1100, 1110. I got it wrong. What did I do wrong? I'm checking my math. Give me a second. There it is. I found my mistake. 78 minus 64 is 14, not 12. 14, 14, 14, 6, 6. Got it. Woo, that took me a while. I did a math error. So it's 1100, 1110. Looks like a lot of people got that. Yes, my subtraction was a bit off. Let's do it again. You guys ready? Here we go. Do this one in binary. Do this one in binary. Michael Reeves says I can't. Tolowitz says nice try. Guys, the problem here is that in IPv4 dotted decimal notation, the largest possible number is 255. So any number above 255 is impossible. 255 equals 8 ones. Okay? So that was a trick. Let's do it again, though. Obina, welcome. 96. Turn that into 8 binary values. I'll give you a clue. Write the number 128 in the upper left-hand corner. $96. How many 96s are in 128? Or how many 128s are in 96? 0. How many 96s are in 64? 1. How many 64s are in 96? And this, oh, I made this too easy. Doggone it. Let's see some answers, people. Come on, guys, especially if you're having trouble. You're the ones I want you to, don't be afraid. Do anything you want here. I mean, it's great to see guys like Andre and Michael Reeves getting this, and Zach. That's fantastic, and I want you guys to keep it up. But there was some people who were having trouble, and I need you. You're the ones who need to be doing this the most. Be wrong. This is your opportunity to screw up and be joyful and you're screwing up. You've even seen me do a math error in here. Don't worry about it. I want to see. There you go. That's what I see. Projco beats. Excellent. All right. Yes, so I got the answer 0, 1, 1, followed by 5 zeros, which it looks like a lot of you other guys got it too. Nobody's going to test you on an A+ or Network Plus about doing these conversions. Michael Reeves, my math is killing me. Yeah, math is hard, but it's just a matter of practice, Michael Reeves. There is no magic here. Zach Morehill, you know the table I created that I showed you the other day? I've uploaded it to Discord. Great, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Zach. That was a great thing, by the way. All right. You guys need to be able to convert a dotted decimal notation to binary and then binary back to dotted decimal. Okay? You need to be able to do that. If you can pick up a piece of paper and you can write the number 128 in the upper left-hand corner, you've got it. You should be able to easily and quickly do this with any legitimate number. I should be able to give you any number between 0 and 255, and you should be able to turn that into a binary value. Equally, I should be able to give you any binary value between 8 zeros and 8 ones, and you should be able to turn that into an octet, dotted decimal notation. Yeah. Because the number one rule when it comes to subnetting is someone's going to hand you a network ID and you're going to have to break that up into X number of subnets. And we do all of this in binary. And you're going to be handed a 14.44.16.5, whack whatever address. And the first thing you've got to do is convert that all into binary, or you'll never get any subnetting done. Ever. Okay? All right. Back to the PowerPoint. All right. So network IDs always give away big clues. Now I need you guys to take a real close look at this. Let's start off with the top one. Network IDs must always end with a string of zeros. It's really important to me that you guys understand that a network ID always ends with a string of zeros. If you look at here, let's take a look at this address we've got here. Look at the top one, 192.168.4.0, WAC 24. Do you see that? You agree it ends with a 0 because it's the 0 on the end. You can look at 192.168.4.0 because it's a .0, you know it's a network ID, right? No host, no actual IP address can ever end with a 0, ever. If you have something that ends with a 0, it is a group of IP addresses, not one IP address. Because in that 192.168.4.0, because we have a WAC 24, let me show it to you again. Do you see that WAC 24? We automatically know that the last 8 binary values from 8 zeros to 8 ones are free for us to assign to individual hosts. Now we can't have all zeros, so not all zeros, and you can't have all ones. You can't have 11111111, which would be 255, because that's used for a broadcast. So whenever you have a network ID, you have to take -2. Number one, you take 1 out for the new network ID, whatever that is, which is all zeros, and then at the very top, all ones, which is a broadcast. If you want to broadcast just to one network ID, you can do that. This is important. Anyway, you can take a look at that very easily and sit there and go, okay, not a problem. So because it's 192.168.4.0, I know that I have every address from 192.168.4.1, can't use .0, right? All the way to 192.168.4.254, because you can't use 255 because that's all ones. You know that automatically. You do. Well, all I'm trying to do is get you to do the exact same thing that you can do with a WAC 24. I just want you to be able to do it with any other address that's possible. So let's take a look at something here. So here is a 192.168.4.64 WAC26 network ID. Remember, folks, network IDs always must end with 0. But this one doesn't end with 0, does it? It ends with 64. It ends with 0. It ends with 0. Here, do me a favor before you do anything else. Okay. This. Will you do me a favor and convert this to binary real quick? Zero, one, followed by 6 zeros. When you're working, and by the way, here, take a look on the PowerPoint one more time. Do you see it says WAC26? You see it says WAC26? Oh, I've got some serious typos in there, guys. I don't like this at all. I'm going to fix something real quick. I had a typo. Let's try that again. One second, guys. Caught a little error I had to fix real quick. Okay, here we go. All right, so now let's look at this second one. First of all, you'll see where it says 64, so we know that's 0, 1, followed by 6 zeros. But look, please look. Do you see the subnet mask is WAC26? So it's right here. Oh, man, is there... So right there is the So right here is the separator, and this shows the, so it's 192.168.64.26. Everything after the first 2 digits, it's 26. These can all be changed. Now you don't have 8 values to work with anymore, so you don't have 256 different values, right? So now you have 64 different values minus 2. So a WAC26, we have less hosts. With a WAC24, we have 8 numbers, and we can set 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 to one computer, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, or 2 to another computer, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1 to a third computer. Get the idea? But when you reduce your network ID with a smaller subnet, you have less hosts. Folks, most of the questions you're going to run into on CompTIA exams are going to be, you start with this network ID, we're going to break it up into at least 3 subnetworks. How many hosts are going to be in each one of those subnetworks? And that's all you do is you count the zeros on the end. That's it. We're going to keep doing this. I'm actually jumping ahead of myself a little bit. But you get the idea. All right, so let's take a look at this last one. So here's 192.168.4, 160 WAC 27. Now, first off, if we look at the top one, everybody has to agree that's a WAC 27, right? So the last 5 digits here, and the last 5 digits here, so 160 is 101 followed by 5 digits. So all we're talking about, when you see a weird subnet like 192.168.4.160 WAC 27, number one, network IDs always must end with a string of zeros. So when you see 192.168.4.160, you go, I don't see no zeros. That's because you got to convert it into binary before you can see the zeros, people. You're not going to see diddly until you convert it into binary. Everything begins with binary conversion. The reason I keep harping on this, guys, I've been teaching this for over 20 years, and as much as I'm harping on it, half of you guys still aren't doing this, or you're doing a bad job of it. So people don't see those zeros at the end. It's easy when you're on a WAC 24 on your 255, 255, 2550. Yeah, this last octet, that's all. And there's 8 of them in there, 2 to the 8th power, it's 256, whatever. That's easy. The problem we run into is when we're not on the dots, because we're all victims of the dots. We are all penitents of the periods, and you have a harder time with it. You want to do some more of this? Okay, here we go. Let's practice a little bit more. You guys ready? Number 1. I need somebody to write out a WAC 17 subnet in binary. Come on, somebody put it down there on the screen. WAC 17 subnet in binary, please. I'll give you a clue. You only have to press the 1 button and the 0 button. Come on, I want to see it. I want to see a WAC 17 subnet. Oopsie. In binary. Really? Nobody? Joseph Wright, come on, man, you can do it. All right, I'm going to start typing. There you go. John Batman. Thank you, sir. How hard was that? Look, John was even nice enough to add the periods for you guys, because he's just that swell of a human being. Everybody loves him. Joseph, not right. Remember, Joseph, we're doing a subnet mask. A subnet mask is a 32-bit value. A subnet mask is a 32-bit value. Always. Okay? Okay, I'm happy. Now we're starting to do it. Oh, Joseph, you converted the number 17 into binary, which in this case we don't. Andre said, I didn't put in the dots because there are no dots. Good answer. Okay, Joseph, you're back up. Here's your chance, Joseph. This is just for you. Oh, it's for everybody. You ready? I want to see a WAC 29 subnet. Somebody type it out. I know what the answer is. A WAC 29 subnet. Michael Reeves, Andre. Come on, we can get more than that. Scott Jernigan cheated. I'm sorry, Scott Jernigan. I'd like a WAC 29 subnet in binary, please. There you go. See, don't get cocky that you think you know this and you don't have to type it into the chat screen, because you know this continues to be a popular topic and there's reasons for it. Alex. All right, you guys ready? Here we go. I want you to take that WAC 29 subnet and convert it into decimal notation. I want you to convert those 29 ones followed by 3 zeros into dotted decimal notation. Come on, guys, put it on here. I need somebody to put it on the screen. You're going to take a WAC29 subnet, and I need you to convert that all 4 dotted decimal digits for me, please. I'll give you a clue. The first of the 4-part answer is 255 dot. Come on, Scott Jernigan, you're a ringer. You know this stuff. If you don't understand the question, folks, you need to be typing in, Mike, I need some help here. Come on, guys. Participation is required. If you're not typing it in, I'm not trusting that you guys are getting it. Scott Jernigan's a ringer. Scott, I don't want you to type in any more answers, buddy. I need people to work on this stuff. If I'm not asking a question that is sufficient for your ability to answer it, then thank you, Scott. You need to type in a question. You need to ask me a question. I need you to take the WAC29, which we've now seen in binary, and I need you to convert that into dotted decimal notation. The first 8 ones is 255. The second 8 ones is 255. The third 8 ones is 255. The fourth isn't 8 ones. The fourth is 5 ones followed by 3 zeros. 5 ones followed by 3 zeros is 248. All right, here, nobody answered, so I'm starting to panic. Let's do it again. I need you to convert WAC24 subnet into dotted decimal notation. I need you guys to convert WAC24 subnet, not into binary. You guys know how to do binary. You type in 24 ones followed by 8 zeros. I need WAC24 typed into dotted decimal notation. I'm waiting, guys. Hello? Can you guys not hear me? Hello? Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I seem to be on. I see Andre said, I think Mike's chat is hanging. All right, let's try again, guys. Tolowit, are you on live chat or top? I don't know what those words mean. I can read you guys. JS Brobbery 200 I can read. Guys, I asked a question and no one's answered it. So when nobody answers, then I have to blame myself. So let's try again. What I'd like to do is WAC24. First of all, let's do that in binary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoops. I'm making typos all over the place. So we're going to do WAC24. I'm going to do it in binary first. I'm typing this right into the chat window. So of course that'll be laggy. Hang on, guys, I'm looking. All right, we got a couple of answers. Zach, I'm sorry, I don't see them. So I'm just we're gonna gamble that everything's okay. All right, so Zach, thank you for answering it 5 times. All right, so now what I want to do, Patricia, what I said is in binary format, WAC24. So WAC24 in binary format is 8 ones, dot 8 ones, dot 8 ones, dot 8 zeros. So can we now do WAC 24 in dotted decimal notation? Yeah, guys, I missed a lot of answers. I'm not sure why. So I'm going to gamble that people are answering. So we're going to take WAC 24 and convert it into dotted decimal notation. So we need 4 values to do that. So the answer is 255, 255, 255, 0. All right. So anyway, guys, I know it's already 4 o'clock, which is fine, because we basically got about as far as I wanted to do it. Here's your homework, and I do have some homework for you. I need you guys to practice these 4 things. Number 1, I want you to write out some subnet masks in binary, all right? And then if you're really cool, go ahead and take those subnet masks and put them into dotted decimal notation as well if you want. Number 2, I need you to write out IP addresses in binary. So if I hand you a 192.168.4.15, I want to see what that looks like in ones and zeros. Number 3, I want you to write out binary IP addresses in dotted decimal. So if I give you 100.101.100.100.100, whatever it is, I need you to be able to convert that to 202.14.6.55 or whatever it is. And then the 4th thing I want you to do is write out network IDs for subnets. When I say that, I want you to pick any network ID that got to end with some amount of zeros and just write them out into dotted decimal notation. I want you to practice these. When we come back on Monday, we're going to do this again. Except what we're going to do is we're going to add on this. And I need you guys to be able to look at certain types of questions, and we're going to use the same notation and the same methodology. And then we're going to get questions like, Mike starts with this network ID, and how many networks can he break it up if he must have a minimum of 5 hosts per network? Just a matter of moving that little subnet mask over from a starting network ID into a final one that answers the question. And that is the biggest part of subnetting that there is. If you guys do a good job on this come Monday, then we'll have a lot of fun because I will actually bring in IPv6 subnetting as well, which can be absolutely fascinating, and that is being done as well. I can't believe it's already 4 o'clock. I'm going to blame Scott Jernigan. Yeah. All right, guys. So Dave Rush is going to have all kinds. He's going to be finishing DNS this week on drama. Dave Rush, Ask Mike Anything. And also do keep in mind that we have our Discord channel. We also have discounted ebooks for sale just because you're nice enough to show up and take advantage of some of these great prices on ebooks. By next week, hopefully Monday, we will have a very aggressive day on just practicing subnetting. That's all we're going to do. I am going to come up with a way to get a whiteboard in here somehow between today and next Monday so that we can, if I can write while I'm working, I just move a lot faster. We will have that for you, and hopefully all of your questions will be perfectly answered. Also, do keep in mind, it's going to take me a few more weeks, but for those of you who are asking questions about what is the ultimate pathway to take for IT security certifications, I am working my rear end off on this. It's becoming absolutely fascinating, but it's going to be a few weeks before that's ready. Guys, last thing, always be sure to like and subscribe. Contact me directly if you have any type of questions, michaelm@totalsem.com, and I will love to answer those questions for you. But until then, I am going to be signing off. I will be on the Discord channel probably pretty quick. For those of you who are interested in Discord, new people, you're the ones I want to see on the Discord channel the most. Come in there, say hello. And it's a fun group of people, except for Tolowit. Everybody else is fun. We will see all you guys there. So I am out of here. I will see you guys next Monday. We'll be doing more Subnetting. And until then, this is your little Uncle Mikey saying good night, kids. Good night.